Greetings, Otaku Faithful. Thank you for joining me again this week. Once again, it's Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief, and I'm here to bring you all yet again another Discussion of the Week video segment right here on Otaku Assemble! Weekly, as always, I'm here to bring you the latest in this week's Discussion of the Week video segment. But before I jump into this week's topic, I want to go ahead and give a huge thank you to my 52 backers, to anyone who shared, and to anyone who helped spread the word for my Totems Kickstarter project. I want to thank you all so much for that right now. Take this opportunity to give yourselves a big pat on the back, a big round of applause. We have successfully raised $2,214 on the Kickstarter project, and so I want to thank you all to the utmost of my heart for all of your support and all your contributions. And as I mentioned on on my Facebook, my Twitter, and on my Yahoo page, I will be updating the Kickstarter page with updates on our progress up until the completion of the first issue, which should be completed next month. But with that being said, now let's jump into this week's Discussion of the Week topic. And it comes from Curly Fry ZZZ1. And it is Discussion of the Week. Shows and movies being billed as dark just to pull in a bigger audience. What do you think of entertainment medium utilizing so-called edgy material that doesn't enhance the product whatsoever just to get more views? There seems to be this mentality floating around that the darker something is, the better quality it is. What are your thoughts on this? Okay, so let's see. Shows and movies being billed as dark just to pull in a bigger audience. What do you think of entertainment medium utilizing so-called edgy material that doesn't enhance the product whatsoever just to get more views? Okay. Well, here are my thoughts on that. Now, I've stated multiple times in the past how I don't care for things to be dark and edgy that aren't in concept dark and edgy. And this is what I mean. Like, you all will remember from my DC rant, the whole idea that Warner Brothers, the announcement that they made where they wanted to make Green Lantern 2 more dark and edgy, which I was against, and I am still strongly against, because I do not care for material that is not in its essence or within its concept to be dark and edgy. I find that things that are made to be dark and edgy usually fall flat on their face. They are usually debacles. They don't work out in their favor because everything is not dark and edgy, and you can't make everything dark and edgy. So, as far as entertainment mediums trying to utilize this to bring in a bigger audience, while the creator in me is against it, the executive in me is all for it, because hey, numbers speak for themselves. People go and see dark and edgy movies. Okay, that's what they go and see. People like dark and edgy material. Why do you think Dexter is Showtime's, biggest show right now? There's a reason for that. Why do you think The Walking Dead is AMC's biggest show right now? There's a reason for that. Why do you think Game of Thrones is HBO's biggest show right now? There's a reason for that. People like dark and edgy material. That's just the cold hard fact of the situation. That's just the cold hard facts. And so, if I'm a studio exec or a television exec and I'm thinking about putting out a show that's dark and edgy to bring in a bigger audience, the numbers don't lie, people. There's a reason why Supernatural was as successful as it was. There was a reason why. Well, then again, there are flops. Don't get me wrong. There are a bunch of flops. As I stated earlier, that don't utilize dark and edgy correctly. But people like dark and edgy. And people are paying good money, and people are tuning in to dark and edgy material. Is all of the dark and edgy material of high quality? Of course not. Which brings me to this next statement. It's like there seems to be this mentality floating around that the darker something is, the better quality it is. That's false. That is not true whatsoever. The darker something is does not necessarily mean the better quality it is. Hell, I would go as far as to say that those Transformers films are relatively darker in nature than the television shows, than the cartoons, but those movies are garbage. So yeah, just because something's darker doesn't necessarily make it better, but people are still going to see it. And I think that's the root of the argument, you know? It's like I said, it's that die-hard conflict about what happens when artistic expression meets corporate interests. And regardless of whether or not, honestly, I think the fact that whether or not it's of quality is irrelevant at this point. Because the fact is, you could have something of very low quality that is a fucking cash cow, i.e. the Twilight series. So, is it a good thing? Well, to studio execs and television execs it is. You know, to marketing execs it is. You know, they're making money off those cash cows. So for them it is good. And let's face it, that's the kind of thing that, you know, that's the kind of thing that actually gives life to these industries. You know, people are going out paying all this money for this shit. I mean, you know. But from an artistic standpoint, is that good? No. From a commercial standpoint, it is very fucking successful. So, yeah. That's just the truth of the situation. And yeah, and those are pretty much my thoughts on it. Not sure what else I can say about that. Is dark and edgy always good? No. But does dark and edgy usually make a lot of money? Yeah. So until dark and edgy stops making money, it's not going away anytime soon, and that's just the sad reality of the situation. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, shit, that pretty much wraps up this week's discussion of the week. There's not really much I can say about that, you know? And so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. I want to thank you all for joining me again this week. In the comments below, guys, leave suggestions for next week's discussion of the week topic, and thumb up the ones you want to see, and those are the ones, and that'll be the one that I'll tackle next week. What's coming down the wire later this weekend? My comic book Hollywood movie review of Iron Man, which I guess I'm appropriately dressed for. And I'm just going to go ahead and make this announcement now. I am going ahead and putting my Smallville reviews on hiatus, and my reasoning for that being is that those reviews aren't producing a sufficient amount of views. They just aren't getting enough views. I mean, it's just, once again, it's the cold hard facts of the situation. It's the cold hard facts of the matter. They aren't producing. So I'm going to go ahead and put those on hiatus for the time being. If the demand is up for them, I'll certainly bring them back, but for the time being, nah. So that's going to wrap it up. This has been Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief. I am signing off, and until next time, peace.